Cecilia did not awake on Sunday until 3:30 in the afternoon. Whether it was through exhaustion from the butterbeer yeast, mental exhaustion, or the mere volume of information her mind had been bombarded with over the last 2 days. Whatever the cause, she deserved the rest, and lay in bed until 4:30, considering everything that she had experienced. Draco's close family, the long-standing feud between Severus and Sirius, Hermione's love life, Minerva's love life, her status as a squib, Severus's status, and potential reason for becoming a Death Eater, that he'd been the one to tell the Slytherins she was a squib, the identity of Lucius Malfoy, the Weasley twins' near-gifted ability for mischief and their easy-going, down-to-earth characters. And after all of that, she still didn't think it changed that much. She still needed to work closely with Severus to come up with a potion for Harry. She was still going to be going home in a fortnight's time with a member of the Order to analyze wizard DNA samples, including Draco Malfoy's, she added, with a grin. But what it had done was leave her clearer about the people around her. Whether they liked it or not, Cecilia knew things she wouldn't have been able to find out about conventionally, and things which explained a lot of other things. Oh, and she must remember to discard the Slytherin notebook sometime, she thought wryly. At 6:30, Cecilia was sitting in the potions classroom, refreshed and ready to run the preliminary tests on the hair samples she and Severus had agreed to the previous day. She'd not forgotten to bring Harry's sample with her, which she'd carefully hidden the previous day, and felt strangely calm, in spite of everything. As she waited, she remembered she hadn't gone back to the library to investigate the questions they had about energy transformations in wizards, and she made a mental note for that to be her first job when she next had some free time. By 7:30, Severus had finally arrived, disheveled but seemingly eager to start work. He had obtained nearly all of the hair samples, with the exception of 2, a Pureblood and Petunia Dursley's. The latter, he explained, would be collected by the Order member who'd be accompanying her home. However, they both agreed that, as a mole, her sample should respond in the same way as Cecilia's, so it wasn't wholly necessary. They made good progress. All in all, most of the samples behaved similarly to the spells Snape used on them, and Cecilia detailed them in their notebooks systematically as he asked her questions every so often about magic. Cecilia could certainly see the young man Minerva had described to her in Snape, even if it was only for a few seconds. Eventually, they had exhausted every test. Snape had used the spells she had catalogued he had used before, and she recorded the response to the samples. They had worked well, she concluded. Not so well, said Snape, as she vocalized congratulations for them both. We haven't got a Pureblood sample yet. Nor Petunia Dursley's, said Cecilia, and had half a mind to return to her room to collect Sirius's hair. But she needn't even do that, she thought, glancing at Snape. But there's a clear difference, continued Snape, as he flicked through her notebook. A clear difference between mole and wizard samples. I haven't had the opportunity yet to investigate the energy question yet, she admitted. I seem to have run out of energy myself, she added, smiling to indicate the pun. Indeed, said Snape, a little colder than she'd expected, and Cecilia wondered whether he was about to mention mysterious mythology and the means by which she'd recovered it. However, I expect it will be high on your list of priorities? Certainly, said Cecilia, nodding slightly. I've got 2 weeks until we can analyze the hair for DNA, so I'm sure to have come up with something by then. However, I have been thinking about the differences in wizards and moles, in a non-scientific context. It was magic and moles that gave me the idea to consider evolution. Are you familiar with the idea, Severus? Indeed, intoned Snape again. The means by which Darwin, was it? Believed living things altered over time with respect to their environment? Precisely, nodded Cecilia. But what I thought was, I wonder whether it was to do with some sort of social evolution. Sitting back on one of the benches in the classroom, Cecilia got into her stride. say, for example, back at the time when moles and wizards separated, and started to live separate lives, and because of a type of energetic advantage in your cells, wizards were able to live separate from moles. Where we relied on energy from and food, prayed to pagan gods, and then a Christian god for the sun to shine so our crops would grow, for food, wizards did not need to, because wizards. Cecilia paused to grab her notebook to write down what she was saying. Wizards did not need to. Cecilia looked up at Snape, who was staring at her. "What do you think?" she said, slightly uncertainly when he said nothing. "Severus? I think you have the basis of the energy research," he said eventually. "So you think this might be valid?" Cecilia pushed, willing for the most logical thing she had thought that weekend to be plausible. It would explain a lot of things if it were. "It's one possibility," said Snape, slowly. "Certainly no one I know has proposed such an idea before. Yes, I believe so, Cecilia. It could explain a great deal of things. I for one have never felt moles to be interesting, but the more I learn, the more I can see how we affect one another, how our lives interconnect." He took a step nearer to Cecilia, looking down at what she had written, holding her hand out of the way of the previous page to read it. "In that case, we could finish our DNA preliminary tests tonight and work on that," said Cecilia, quietly. "All we need is a sample of hair from a pure-blood wizard. Severus. What about yours?" She stopped, realizing what she was asking, and remembering his response the last time. Bracing herself for a scene, Cecilia unfolded her leg from underneath her. She expected him to storm out, throw something, shout, anything except for what he did do. Sighing, he sat down next to her on the bench. "Cecilia, I need to be honest with you. I am unsure where you obtained the notion that I am a pure-blood wizard. It is indeed flattering, though I am aware of the fact that you are still ignorant of the extent of the importance of such differences to us." "What?" thought Cecilia, as the information filtered into her already befuddled mind. "Not a pure-blood wizard? And he's sitting here calmly telling me this?" "Severus," said Cecilia, shocked. "I apologize. I just assumed. As the head of House for Slytherin." She stopped, as Snape dropped his head slightly, and Cecilia recalled Minerva's memory. That same expression. Shame. "You don't have to explain yourself to me," said Cecilia kindly, patting his hand. Snape looked up sharply, frowning slightly. "It doesn't matter to me," she continued, as he stared at her. "We'll just get hold of some from another wizard. It's only for the experiment, our experiment," she reminded him. "It's such a shame you can't be there with me to see it being carried out. I'm sure you would have learned a lot from it." Her voice tailed off as Snape put a long, gnarled finger to her lips. "Has anyone ever told you that you talk too much, Cecilia?" he said, continuing to look at her. Before this evening, she would have taken such question, coming from Snape, to be rhetorical, and an insult. But now. "And sometimes, I do feel the need to redress the balance." And the next hour she spent was sitting in the potions classroom, listening to Snape talk about his childhood. Family. Hogwarts. Growing up. All under the sharp, judicious sword of not being a pure blood. One thing was for sure, though Cecilia, as she listened patiently, they were no longer just colleagues. That he had told her about his family and such a personal topic as this. They were officially friends. Eventually, he came to an end. Silence reigned in the potions classroom as Cecilia considered all she'd heard. "Is there nothing you wish to say, Cecilia?" Snape asked, uncertainly. "I thought you may have some questions." "And I thought I talked too much," she retorted, nudging him playfully and smiling to show it was a joke. "Seriously though, you needn't have done that. I didn't mean to." I would not have shared this with you, Cecilia, if I hadn't thought that I could do it confidentially with someone I consider, in spite of everything, a friend. I know of no other word for it. Subconsciously, he rubbed at his left arm. Yes, said Cecilia. I think we are. Should I risk it? She thought, telling him that I know about him being a Death Eater? I'll have to admit I followed him last Sunday. Carefully, Cecilia placed her right hand on his sleeve, looking up at him shyly. Snape held her hand tightly until she let go, throwing her hand away, before giving her an icy glare and getting to his feet. I know, Severus, said Cecilia, to his retreating back. And if we are indeed friends, I need to tell you how I know. I realize why you were angry in the summer. I know what a Death Eater is and what they do ... what they stand for. Do you? Said Snape, coming back towards her. Do you, Cecilia? Because I don't think you do, not really. Oh, you've read your books, made your predictions. He gave Cecilia a contemptuous look. But deep down. Yes. Interrupted Cecilia, approaching him close to. I know, Severus, because last Sunday, instead of returning to Hogwarts like I told you, I followed you. She ignored the fiery temper that was beginning to arise in his eyes. I was drunk on the butterbeer, for which I'm still suffering today, she added, and noticed a flash of satisfaction pass over his glowering face. I saw with my own eyes that man, tortured by others ... but not by you. I realized then you must be a double agent. You can't want to do that, not the you I know. Without saying anything, Snape grabbed Cecilia by the waist, pulling her forward. She yelped slightly in his tight grip as he reached round her and pulled up his sleeve, so her face was close by the ugly mark. Stretching from wrist to elbow, a skull and a snake. The mark so deeply cut Cecilia could see the edge of the new flesh, unable to knit with it. There, he said. Is that what you wanted? I hope you're satisfied. He pulled her upright again. Cecilia stared into his eyes, considering what she knew of the wizard Severus Snape. She lowered her head. No, she said after a few moments. I don't expect I will know what being a Death Eater means. Snape's arm had become loose around her waist, so she pulled away. I'll carry on with the work on energy as soon as I can. I have a meeting with Harry tomorrow, so it won't be then. Cecilia looked back up again. Whatever you think of me, Severus, I'll never forget your honesty tonight. I don't think I could be that brave. Her voice tailed off limply, and she grabbed her notebook, making her way towards the door. Once outside, Cecilia closed the classroom door and hit herself on the head with the notebook. Stupid, stupid woman, she said to herself. You bloody idiot. You never know when to stop, do you? She took a few steps towards the courtyard entrance. When Snape called her, she turned, and staggered as she did so, feeling lightheaded, and sank to her knees. Cecilia, said Snape urgently. What's wrong? He supported her elbow and wrapped his arm round her waist, helping her to her feet. Sef apostrophe R apostrophe S ... can apostrophe T ... tired ... overdoing ... butterbeer ... damn, said Cecilia, unable to speak properly. I think you have been overdoing it. Yes, he said, a sarcastic note to his voice. He lifted the limp Cecilia into his arms. A good night's rest, maybe? He suggested. I'll be sure to cancel your morning's lessons, he added, as he strode across the courtyard and into the hall. Righto, said Cecilia again, and rested her head on his shoulder. And now Cecilia feels ... humiliation. The field in which she is standing is black. The only sight to be seen is an eerie green glow before her eyes, hanging low in the sky ... She turns and sees ... a man, huge in stature ... He is standing before her, and Cecilia realizes that they are not alone ... Others too are around them ... The tall man approaches Cecilia, holding out his arms, as if to strangle her. She tries to scream. She wants to run away. Fear envelops her as he approaches, but she can do nothing except for stand the. She closes her eyes. Her arm aches, a dull, intermittent ache. Cecilia looks down at her arm and her heart lurches violently as she realizes. The dark mark. It's on her arm. She's one of them, a Death Eater. But how can she be when she's a male herself? Someone speaks. My lord, they say. For the initiation. She's heard that voice before. A woman. My lord, she says again. Cecilia looks at the man and horror fills her. Voldemort. You can't get away. He says. Only minutes ago did you pledge your allegiance. Before her eyes, Cecilia sees. A young man. Stripped to the waist. Stop shaking, says another voice. Why does she recognize it? She holds out her wand. Your first kill, congratulations. The boy's face, contorted in horror. The boy's face changed. It's her. She's lying dead in front of the Death Eaters. The dream fades. And now she's with Tim, at home. She'd woken up in bed, and feels. Sadness. Now she's downstairs. Tim's sitting on the sofa, talking about. Life, moving on. There's an argument, and tears. Now she is coming Hogwarts. She's met Hagrid, and the first day she sends a letter by Owl. Severus and the research. When he attacks her. Exhilaration at the shopping expedition with Tunks to Eminences. Remus waiting for her as she comes out of her sleep, holding her hand. There she was, sitting in front of her fireplace after she had spoken to Remus. Planning about going home. What would she say to Dumbledore? Her room yesterday, all broken up. Her relation when she found mysterious mythology. Draco's diary. The family tree. Sirius. Seeing the black dog in front of her. Sirius pulling her out of the way of the Death Eaters. Sitting in the shrieking shack, looking for a way out. Curled up in Sirius's coat, thinking about how much she hates him. Now Cecilia's dream slowed, and she dreamed, as she had done every night since Monday. She remembered every inch of the moment, the sunlight, weak and new, shining straight into the passage underneath the castle. Sirius insulting her about her figure, and her retaliation. He takes her hand, looking up at her in a spine-melting, knee-bone disintegrating way. Sirius pulls her closer. She can feel the heat of his body against hers. Hers responding to his heartbeat. His mouth is hot. Bring her closer to him, leaving her. Wanting more. Snape lowered his wand, and the stream of silver light that had emerged from Cecilia's head and his own to form a silvery pool a few minutes before ebbed away, retreating to a spot just above her right ear and his left. Few words could describe accurately how Snape felt at that moment. Betrayal was certainly one he recognized. And bitterness. With one last look at Cecilia's sleeping form, he threw her a look of contempt and left her room without looking back.